So we have Rudy Giuliani testifying to the January 6th committee. We have Bill Barr saying he will testify to the January 6th committee. We've got a congressman named Loudermilk who has been caught, notwithstanding his denials, giving reconnaissance tours of the Capitol on January 5th, the day before the Capitol attack. We've got the White House photographer turning over photographs that she took of Donald Trump cheering on the insurrection as his angry mob attacked Capitol police officers. We have friends of Roger Stone flipping on him. We have Ginni Thomas, wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, caught in emails urging state election officials to corruptly throw the election to Donald Trump, and more. There is a lot going on, friends. Let's get to it, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So we have a lot to cover today. So this Justice Matters video is going to be a slightly different format. I just finished an MSNBC appearance. I was on panel with my very good friend Joyce Vance. Katie Fang was the host. And we got to cover half a dozen stories on the legal front, rather than trying to include headlines and some reporting about each of the stories. We're just going to roll through this. I didn't want to bore you by reading you paragraph after paragraph of reporting. Hopefully I don't ordinarily bore you. But I want to just touch on a series of pretty significant legal developments in the last 24 to 48 hours. First of all, let's start with Rudy Giuliani. Old Rudy testified yesterday for 9 hours. The biggest surprise to me is that he testified at all, because I figured he would invoke any number of privileges, whether, real or fictional, and try to avoid testifying. He does have some attorney-client privilege with his former client, Donald Trump. Of course, if they were involved in doing crime together, the crime-fraud exception would cause that privilege to evaporate, and he could be forced to testify about even private communications with his client, Donald Trump. But he also could have tried to assert executive privilege. I think that is not really viable for Rudy Giuliani, but he absolutely could have asserted his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination, because that one he has, and he has in boatloads. Why? Remember, he's still under criminal investigation by the Department of Justice, by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office, after a judge, a federal judge in New York, issued a search warrant concluding that there was probable cause to believe there was evidence of crime in Rudy Giuliani's electronic devices. Make no mistake about it, he's still under investigation for work that he did on behalf of and in conjunction with Donald Trump, and Rudy has a Fifth Amendment right against providing testimony all day long. Now, we don't know what he said in his 9-hour appearance. He may have spent 9 hours asserting bogus privileges or otherwise kind of bluffing and blustering his way through, non-responsive answers. We don't know. We haven't seen any reporting on it yet. But I was a little surprised he submitted to a 9-hour interview. And let me talk about why he may have in a minute, because I want to couple it with the Bill Barr story. Not much to talk about there, because Bill Barr's credibility is lower than whale droppings. But Bill Barr has also agreed to testify to the J6 committee. Also somewhat surprising. But here is what may have prompted both Bill Barr and Rudy Giuliani to relent and agree to testify. In recent days, what did we learn? We learned that the Department of Justice has asked the January 6th committee for copies of its 1,000+ transcripts of witness interviews. And all of a sudden, Rudy and Bill Barr can't get in front of the J6 committee quickly enough? Is there a cause and effect there? It sure feels like there is. And maybe someday we'll get an answer to that question. But I think it's generally a good development that more witnesses, high-value witnesses, are now appearing before the J6 committee, especially with the public hearings getting ready to kick off on June 9th. Man, get your popcorn ready for that one. Another story, Congressman Loudermilk from Georgia lied. 16 months ago, he issued a statement responding to other members of Congress who said, "We saw you leading tours, reconnaissance tours of the Capitol on January 5th, the day before the Capitol attack, when tours were prohibited." And Loudermilk, boy, did he protest loudly. "I did not. I did no such thing. I gave no tours. I want an ethics investigation into the people who claimed I gave tours." Well, guess what? The J6 committee sent him a letter saying, "We got you on tape giving tours, sport." I took liberties with the way the J6 committee worded its letter, but it's pretty clear they've got the goods. So just a day or two ago, what does Congressman Loudermilk do? He issues another statement. "Well, I gave tours on January 5th, but, it was just to constituents' families and their children. I mean, I did it for the children." I don't know if constituent families is a euphemism for insurrectionists, but we're going to find out. But yes, Congressman Loudermilk's pants are on fire because he was caught in a lie. And now he's trying to clean it up. Well, his first denial may have fooled us temporarily. It didn't fool the J6 committee because now they've got the goods. Now they can put the lie to his first denial. When he said, "Trust me, I didn't give any tours." And now he says, "Trust me, the tours I gave when tours were prohibited the day before the Capitol attack were on the up and up." Yeah, we're not going to trust you, Congressman Loudermilk. How do we get these people in the upper echelons of our government? So stay tuned for that one. The only remaining question is, will Congressman Loudermilk agree to testify, or will he continue to conceal evidence of his own misconduct and, by extension, Trump and company's misconduct? Because if he does, he's committing crimes, accessory after the fact, misprision of a felony, perhaps conspiracy. So we'll stay tuned to this story. We also heard that we're getting photographs, lots of photographs, of Donald Trump that were taken by the White House photographer during the 187 minutes, the 3+ hours that Donald Trump let his attack rage on at the Capitol. And I know it's an overused saying, but a picture is worth 1,000 words. Remember what Stephanie Grisham, I think she was a special press White House counsel, I forget her precise title, told us? She said, "I watched Donald Trump in the White House dining room as the Capitol attack raged on," and her word, friends, it makes me sick to my stomach, but her word was, he was gleefully watching the coverage, gleefully watching his angry mob attack police officers, breach the Capitol, hunt for public officials to stop the certification of Joe Biden's win. Gleefully, he was rewinding, Stephanie Grisham said, rewinding the good parts, I guess where they're really getting some good licks in on the Capitol police officer who were trying to defend the people in the Capitol. Gleefully, and we're going to get to see it in living color. With lots of photographs, maybe even some video, pictures worth 1,000 words. And remember, let me add this, friends. During that 3-hour period, there was testimony from Keith Kellogg. Who is he? He was Mike Pence's national security advisor. But he was over at the White House while Trump's angry mob was hunting for Mike Pence because Donald Trump said he wasn't brave enough to do what was right and stop the certification. And Keith Kellogg said, we kept sending people in to Donald Trump to try to get him to stop the attack call off his attack, condemn the violence, and he wouldn't. And then he said, we sent Ivanka back in a second time because she can be pretty persuasive, and she couldn't convince her father to call off the attack. What Donald Trump did, friends, was wage war against the United States. He waged war against the democratic process, and once he launched the attack, he refused to call it off. In fact, he celebrated it gleefully. Other developments, the Friends of Roger Stone, right? That was the name of some encrypted app on which the Friends of Roger Stone communicated about, among other things, how to overthrow the government. And these people are flipping. They're cooperating with the government against, presumably, Roger Stone. Oath Keepers are flipping. Proud Boys are flipping. Roger Stone's bodyguard, one of the Oath Keepers, has flipped. So getting the information and writing off these recorded apps is great, but there's also going to be a whole lot of testimony because Roger Stone likes to do a lot of this. And I'm sure he did it to his bodyguards, to his, good friends, the white supremacists, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys. So this is also a really good development that people are flipping on Roger Stone because one day, Roger Stone is either going to prison or he's flipping on Donald Trump. Stay tuned. Last story. Ginni Thomas, wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, is now caught in emails that she sent to Arizona state election officials telling them, get rid of the slate of electors for Joe Biden. That would be the slate of electors assigned according to the popular vote of the people, and install a clean slate of electors for Donald Trump. To open a criminal investigation into somebody, all you need is what we call adequate predication. That's a fancy term for enough evidence. A suspicion, basically, taking liberties with the FBI standards, some evidence that a federal crime may have been committed, or perhaps is being committed, or perhaps will be committed based on available evidence. There should be a criminal investigation open into Ginni Thomas. And yes, she should appear before the J6 committee. But that's almost beside the point. There should be a criminal investigation open, or I should say, the criminal investigation that is open into the insurrection must include scrutiny of Ginni Thomas. And that's just for openers, friends, because we also need to know the impact that Ginni Thomas's conduct of trying to overthrow our democracy had on her husband, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, and his deeply unethical conduct of refusing to remove himself from a case that directly involved his wife's interest. We need to look into all of it. And finally, what is Congress going to do about it? About the fact that we have a corrupt Supreme Court justice, at least one. I'm not going to trail off into what we should be doing about Alito, Sammy the Bull Alito's draft opinion on Roe v. Wade. We're going to save that for another day. I've done prior videos on it. But we have a corrupt Supreme Court justice. The legitimacy of the Supreme Court is eroding every day. Congress has to do something about that. I understand there's a separation of powers issue. The Supreme Court is almost beyond reach. But something has to be done, and the one thing that Congress can do is open an impeachment inquiry. Open public hearings into what Clarence Thomas knew, when he knew it, why he failed to recuse in a case that directly involved the interests of his wife, and what we as a government are prepared to do about it in accordance with the rules of law, in accordance with the expectation of the conduct of a Supreme Court justice. Just because you open an impeachment hearing, an impeachment inquiry, does not guarantee that there will be enough evidence developed to draft up articles of impeachment. But for gosh sakes, we have to act. We can't just say, well, we assume we won't develop enough evidence to get to articles of impeachment against Clarence Thomas, so we're going to do nothing? Based on that uninformed opinion, we will fail to act and just continue to let Clarence Thomas sit corruptly on the Supreme Court? That's no kind of government. That's not responsible government. These things are not hard. These things are not rocket science. It's responsible government that, frankly, we, the people, deserve. And you know why we deserve it? Because justice matters. Matters to us. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.